welcome everyone to another installment of the Dublin Coffman Marching Band Network. I'm here with Sarah Beal, a 2010 graduate of Dublin Coffman High School. How are you, Sarah?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. I want to get right into it. You have had a fabulous journey here since you've left Dublin Coffman High School, and one of the most notable things that comes across my social media feed is seeing that you have dealt with Roman archaeology. Before we get into kind of how amazing that work has been, and I know you're going to share some other things with us as well. Can you just talk us through, since you graduated in 2010, what have you been doing since then?
Yeah, absolutely. So I graduated in 2010 and then immediately went to college. I spent my first year at the University of Iowa, where I was in the marching band, which was amazing. And then I transferred to The Ohio State University, where I was not in marching band because I didn't want to learn a new instrument. And I finished my degree at Ohio State, and I studied Latin, Greek, and ancient Greek and Latin for my degree. And then after that, I was planning to be a high school Latin teacher, and I kind of had some things in my life shake up and started second guessing that. And I had a professor tell me I should go to graduate school. And so I decided to go to graduate school instead. And I wanted to do more with traveling. So archaeology really fit the bill for that. And I ended up starting a PhD program at the University of Cincinnati, where I am still at for my 8th year and final year. And I picked up a master's degree along the way. And now I am finishing up my PhD in archaeology. Yeah.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
And when you spent some time in Athens, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
and I think it was 2 years there,
Hmm.
what were your day-to-day activities like when you were in Athens?
Yeah. So the first year I was in Athens, I was there. So this was all during my PhD program. And the first year I was there, it's part of this program at this institute called the American School of Classical Studies in Athens. And they bring in graduate students for a year-long program where we basically travel to all of the archaeological sites in the country of Greece. And it was an incredible opportunity. I saw everything. Basically, we would have these 2-week trips where we would be on a bus for hours a day, stopping at 4 or 5 different sites, a different hotel every night. So it was a really, really incredible adventure I got to do that first year. And then the second year, I was there to do research for my own dissertation work. And so I would spend the days at the site I was working at, which is the main civic center of the ancient city of Athens, called the Agora. And they have this incredible research center there. There's been excavations done by American teams since the 1930s. And I would spend my days there looking at ancient pottery. I study ancient pottery. And so it was a lot of sitting in a cold, dark basement. It's not very glamorous when you actually do archaeology. Sitting in a cold, dark basement, huddled up next to a space heater with gloves on, because it does get cold enough in the winter, and looking at ancient pottery and drawing it and writing notes about it so that I could do research when I got back home.
And what did you love most about that time?
Oh, what did I love most? I got to meet really amazing people, which was really wonderful, and be surrounded by people who were really passionate about what they were doing. And so we would have a lot of really fantastic conversations about the ancient world and the way that everybody was studying things differently, which was very rewarding. So that was definitely my favorite part. And traveling is nice. Lots of beaches, which is also good.
Well, when you were a student here, I want to take you back to your sophomore year, your junior year at Kaufman, and one of the things that happens is coming up with a vocation.
Yeah.
Had you always wanted to go into Roman archaeology?
No, I always wanted to be a teacher. That was my number one thing. Briefly in middle school, I wanted to be an astronomer, but I basically wanted to be a teacher, and I think very much in part because that was what I knew and I was comfortable with. I was in high school, I was surrounded by high school teachers, and that was a career I could really grasp. And so I really wanted to be a teacher, and I wanted to be a math teacher. I'm very good at math, even though I don't use it as much anymore. And so when I was getting ready to apply for colleges and I was looking at programs, I had talked to my mom about what I was doing. And I had at the time also been taking Latin in high school. And she asked me why I wasn't going to major in Latin in college. And I was like, silly mother, that's not a thing you can do. Turns out you can major in Latin. So if anyone's in Latin, stick with it. So I started out as a double major with math and Latin. So in high school, I really wanted to be a high school teacher. And fortunately, I still enjoy teaching. So that's not something that's gone away. Yeah.
Well, in now your next stage of your career, you've made some other choices.
Yeah.
Tell us about kind of what's going on now.
Absolutely. So my time getting my PhD in archaeology has been incredible. And the thing that I have found the most rewarding is getting to share what I learn with other people. So any opportunity I get to, whether it's to teach my own class or to do work with students in other classrooms through outreach, I always love to share what I've been working on, or even just talking to friends. And so I've been finding that is the most rewarding thing about what I do is sharing my knowledge. And so I want to choose a career that's a little bit more focused on the teaching side of things. And most people, when they get a PhD in archaeology, end up becoming professors, which is a great career path, but it's a little more research focused than I would like to be with my future. I've enjoyed the research I've done, but I don't want to have it kind of dominate my life going forward. So I'm now looking at careers in a field called educational development or instructional design. And basically, I would work with other instructors at universities to help them improve the way that they're teaching their classes. And that way I can kind of, in a roundabout way, positively impact the experience that students have in their undergraduate classes. So it's been wonderful. And it was by doing my PhD program and having all those opportunities where I got to really test things out and see what I was enjoying and what I wasn't enjoying as much in order to make those decisions about what I want to do going forward.
So, one of the things I think is interesting in this discussion is just knowing that through kind of like your journey, you kind of came across maybe what you want to do with your next part of your career. What advice would you give somebody who's looking, that maybe might not know exactly what they want to do in high school? What kind of advice would you give them in looking at their vocation?
Absolutely. I think the most important thing to keep in mind is the fact that you can change your mind later on. And that's something that I know when I was in high school, I didn't know that was an option, because the way we talk about careers, it tends to be with this idea that you're going to get a degree and then you're going to get a job that is directly related to your degree. And then you're going to be in that job for the next, 40 or 50 years until you retire, which is a wonderful thing. And if you are lucky enough to know what you want to do and have that kind of career path, that's fantastic. But I think it's much more common now for people to change their minds as you grow and as you try new things. You realize that not everything is perfect for you. So looking back on it, I wish I had realized in high school that it was okay that I didn't necessarily know exactly what I wanted to do. That's the point of going to college. That's the point of getting a job, is so that you can try things out and then figure it out from there. So it's okay if things change over time.
And talking about just the experiences that you've had so far, we always like to talk about the life skills that the band has usually tries to instill beyond the notes and the music. What kind of life skills do you think are important for somebody going through college or in entry level part of their career?
Absolutely. One thing you and I already talked about today is to be early is to be on time, which is an incredible life lesson that I have always taken with me. I think the biggest thing I learned was patience and understanding when working with different people, especially as a squad leader, but also being in a squad when you're not the leader of the squad, understanding that people learn things differently and they have different priorities in their lives and a different approach to things, and finding a way to still work with those people. I think that's been the most important thing I learned in band, is how to work with people, how to be understanding, how to be patient with them. And that's something that's going to be useful no matter what career you end up in, because you always have to work with other people.
And what do you remember most about your time in band? Those 4 years. What do you remember most?
Everything. I really remember. It's so funny when I think about all my memories. My memories from high school band are the most vivid memories I have in my entire life, like more so than anything I did in undergrad. And it's funny, I don't know why. Um, the number one thing is the people. I have made lifelong friendships from high school band. My partner was in band with me. I still talk to you occasionally, which is wonderful. So the people really stick out to me as the biggest experiences and things that I remember the most. But also just the feeling of being part of something that was bigger than me, and that's something that I think about that a lot, because it's hard to find a similar experience later in life where you really are part of something that is so much bigger and so amazing. And so looking back at all those old videos of our competitions and everything, and just remembering that feeling of, this is really cool. What you do in band is very cool. And it is really wonderful and very rewarding to be part of that.
And then, Sarah, you were one of our most outstanding leaders. I
Thank
can
you.
I can remember it clearly. But what was it through just kind of being a part of the leadership program and just getting experiences like that? How has that helped you as you've gone on after high school?
Yeah, as I mentioned already, it really taught me patience and understanding. And it's not always easy working with your squad for the entirety of the fall semester. And so learning how to kind of take a deep breath and say, this is okay, we're going to get through this. That's always been very useful. And yeah, just kind of generally working with other people has been very helpful. But then also just the confidence that comes with that. So recognizing that, I do know what I'm doing, and it's okay to take ownership of the things that I am good at, which is something I think we aren't always taught how to do. And so finding the strength in yourself to say, no, I do know the right answer to this. This is what I think we should do going forward, is a very useful skill in a lot of different careers. So that's something I was able to kind of practice and then see myself come into as a leader in band.
Well, you mentioned to be early is to be on time. Some of these things stick with us
Yes.
for a long time. Is there anything else that sticks with you in that way? Something, maybe a memory that you learned, and it's just kind of something that you still use to this day.
Yeah, we also were just talking about this. The word cattywampus comes up a lot in my everyday diction, which apparently most people don't know that word. So I get made fun of a lot for that. A lot of the, I don't know if this is exactly what you're looking for, but a lot of those drum riffs are always in my head. And I think of that all the time. It just plays through my head constantly. And I'm frequently singing the different band cheers and everything in my private life, which is in part because I still have a lot of friends from being in band. So a lot of those things really stick with me. And it's like the memories of being at a football game and standing up and cheering and dancing for, hours on end. You don't get to do that when you're an adult. And I really miss that.
Well, what would the older Sarah tell the younger Sarah in regards to sometimes being in an organization that asks for commitment and discipline. Some of the days are hot, and some of the times you're out there going, why am I out here? Why am I in band and working this hard and being asked to be held to a high standard? What would the older Sarah tell the younger Sarah when younger Sarah got frustrated? What would the older Sarah now tell her?
I would tell myself to just stick with it, because you do learn a certain amount of perseverance when you're in marching band, because as you said, there are those days where you're like, what's the point of this? Looking back on it, I don't know how I personally was able to stand those summers. I don't like heat. I don't like being in the sun. And so, yeah, it really is a lot of very hard work. But if you give up on things because they're hard work, you're not going to find success anywhere in life. That's hard work is just a part of what you have to do as a person if you want to, achieve things. And so I would tell myself to just, stick through it. It gets better. And, there are those moments that are truly wonderful and filled with so much joy that looking back on band, like, the first thing I think of isn't, oh, it was hot and it was difficult and it was exhausting. The first thing I think of is how much fun it was and how much it taught me and how much it allowed me to grow as a person. So stick with it. Even when it gets difficult, stick with it.
Well, Sarah, I want to thank you for taking the time to kind of help us with this marching band network of friends and colleagues. It's been great to reconnect with you,
Yeah.
and I appreciate you sharing your time with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on this. This is a wonderful project.
Have a great day.
Thank
Thanks.
you. You too.